welcome back to the Women's Show once again. Happy new month. You know, October is a very special month, and some of the things we celebrate breast cancer awareness, we celebrate Uganda's independence, and most importantly, we have the World Mental Health Day in this very month. So that is why today, to kickstart our month, I have a panel of amazing women, and we are here to discuss mental health in mothers. You know, a lot of things go on, and people have written a lot of books saying many mothers feel unfulfilled. Mothers have to go through a lot of depression. We are here to understand, what does that look like? Why do we have to go through that as mothers? And is there something that causes that? What can be done to solve some of these issues? You are welcome for this conversation. Feel free to subscribe to our YouTube channel, that is at Civic Space, and follow the Women's Show specifically. Joining me today for this very amazing conversation is a panel of great women who are specialists in mental health. I'll begin from my far left, and that is Lawino. She's the public relations officer at Safe Spaces Uganda. Lawino Angella is a well-established psychologist. So I'm excited to hear from what she brings to the table today. And she came with the ED, the Executive Director of Safe Spaces Uganda, Miss Janet Kantalama Katana. I said it right.
Yes, you did.
You are very welcome to this show. Maybe you could say something to the viewers, starting with you, Lawino.
Hello to everyone who has decided to tune in today. Again, my name is Angella Lawino. I work with Safe Places Uganda. I am the public relations and a psychologist as well. I am excited to get into this conversation concerning the mental health of mothers, and I'm excited to hear about what these other ladies have to share concerning the same.
Okay.
And hello, our viewers. I am honored to be back on the Women's TV and on the Women's Show.
Okay.
And thank you, Civic Space, for the invitation. And thank you for thinking about mothers. That the beginning of October, that you think about what they're going through, and you invite us to have a conversation. I hope we have a fruitful conversation, and I'll be honored to indulge in this discussion.
Okay, thank you so much. I'll begin this way. I'm sure we have read some books about mental health and what it looks like for mothers. There is a book I read recently, and it is The Feminine Mystic. In The Feminine Mystic, the writer, it is mainly a recount of what mothers have to go through. And in there, she writes and says that in her conversations with many mothers, she realized that most mothers feel unfulfilled. They feel alone. You have a child, but you are feeling alone. Most mothers actually feel ashamed to admit that they feel lost in motherhood. So how true is this? I'll begin with you.
Okay, those are true statements. I don't know whether we can quantify them most. However, also research has come out to show that women have higher figures regarding mental health conditions. For example, if you look at the global statistics, we know that women are 3 times more likely to experience a mental illness throughout their lifespan. You know, because we know at the end of the day that mental health it lies on a spectrum, and it is also dynamic. That you can be well today and you're not well the next day. That there can be an incident where you actually feel like you're not going to survive tomorrow, and yet you were okay just the other day before. Okay, but you can also be that you're well-ish today, and then you're severe.
Okay,
after
the next day.
After a while. So it is on a spectrum, and it's also dynamic. It keeps changing. You can't say that it is now my mental health is good. It ranges from very good and it's very bad. So you can lie anywhere on that line. So if we look at the common, like most of the common occurring disorders, the figures are higher for women. So I'll take it for depression. Depression, you know, it's one of the most occurring mental disorders, both in both female and male. But for female, it's 2 times more.
2 times more than in male.
Than in male. Okay. If you look at things like the eating disorders, 3 times occurring in women than in in men.
Yeah.
If you look at if you were given a specific traumatic event and it's faced by both men and women,
Yes.
a woman is more likely to get post-traumatic stress disorder than 3 times more than a man. However, men experience more traumatic events. So much as they experience more traumatic events, the likelihood of them suffering from PTSD as compared to women is low. Okay? If you look at something like suicide, a woman has ideations and attempts 3 times more than a man. Though people say, but men die
more than women.
Yes, because this is where it comes from. That the women actually think about it more. They even attempt more.
But men act more.
Then when the men act, they are more precise. They are more precise, and they actually the results. It's sad, but the results are more fatal. So that is what we are talking about. So if you look at at least research and data that is there on a global scale shows that women suffer from more disorders, and they even suffer at a severe level as compared to men. So it is not far-fetched to say that mothers are suffering or mothers have poor mental health. Yes, it is not.
Thank you so much. You bring in a very interesting perspective. I want to hear from you, Angela. What do you think causes this? Why do you think women tend to suffer the consequences of, say, traumatic experiences, as she has been saying, more than men? And why then does it get specific when it gets to motherhood? If you can maybe drive us to that conversation.
I think I'll start with what you had said earlier from what you read in the book. I think many times why mothers find themselves feeling unfulfilled and lonely, even in a situation where you wouldn't expect that. I think one is, you've given birth. And all your attention moves to making sure that this child is fine, is well taken care of, you put your life on hold. I think for many mothers, they put their lives on hold.
Janet will tell us more about that.
Actually, I'm 6. 4 biological and 2 adopted. So 6.
So you find this lady has put her life on hold. But you see, your child is not going to put their life on hold. Your husband is not going to put his life on hold. So you find that everyone seems to be moving on while you are at a pause, you're at a standstill.
Because you have a child.
Yes, because you have a child. You've dedicated so much to this child. Then the child is in campus or in high school and doesn't want to chill with you anymore. And now you're thinking, but then. So I think that's where that starts from, and that's where that comes from. And then in terms of these other things, I think as women, we naturally feel things a lot more. Our emotions, and I don't know if it's in terms of expression or in terms of just how we, is it ruminate, or like just we dwell on something for so long, a lot more than men. For a man, okay, it's not going well, fine, thank you, pack the bags,
move on.
But for a woman, it's, what can I do? How can I sustain this? How can I make it work? So you find that we are so much in our emotions, we're so much in our thoughts, we dwell on the thing for so long that it then begins to affect us. It then begins to take a toll on us. And I think that's why with the PTSD, it happens that way. It's that you are so fixed on that, you are dwelling on it so much, you are dwelling on the event so much. How could I have done it differently? Was it my fault? Did I all those things? So then it affects us a lot more and a lot harder than it does a man who just be like, okay,
it didn't work.
I was driving well. I don't know
what happened.
Yes. And this woman will go back and think about why that actually happened. I thought I was driving. Okay.
So yes.
Now to you as a mother. Now, borrowing from the words I just read from that book, do you believe that it's the actually moments where as a mother you feel unfulfilled, you feel unappreciated, or where you feel lonely, and where you even feel ashamed to admit to the fact that motherhood is a stage that could be lonely for some people, or even it could not be from your experiences,
Okay.
but as a specialist in that area, I'm sure you have interacted with many people. How is it?
Okay, so I will borrow experiences because if I told you my motherhood journey, then we'll have a whole day after here. But I'll just go back to the questions about specifically mothers and their mental health. Because we have to look at mothers of all stages. We have what we call perinatal. That is when you're pregnant and then 1 year after you've given birth.
Okay.
You know, that is a period for where most people, there are so many changes. Especially if it's a first-time pregnancy.
Yeah.
So many changes that are happening to you. And then if you do not have sufficient support, you know, sufficient support can be in actually family and friends helping you out. Sufficient support can be in actually having resources, income to take care of this baby. Sufficient resources might be you having that knowledge and information.
Yes.
To actually be able to take care of another independent person that is going to rely on you.
Yes.
You know, it becomes such a daunting experience for mothers. And if you still, you know, I told you I like statistics. If you go back to it, if you look at 1 in every 5 women in low developing countries has experienced poor perinatal mental health.
Wow.
And we can attribute, for this case, we can attribute to very many things. So for example, teenage pregnancies,
Oh, yes.
you know, sexual violence, pregnancy out of rape,
Yes.
you know, we have, you know, inability to take care, poverty, inability to take care of this person. That the person suffers through their pregnancy.
Yeah.
By the time they reach giving birth, that they hate themselves and they hate the baby, you know, at that. And then when you look at difficult pregnancies, because if you're looking at all factors combined, that if you're already an underage person and then you go through a difficult pregnancy,
Yes.
and then you probably will have a difficult birth. So look at all those stages and look at the possible occurrences to this person. You know, there even some lose their lives. So if you hear stories, if you can actually go back and analyze the stories that you hear on media about the mothers that throw their children in pit latrines or on dumpsters, just look at one key factor. Look at their age. Look at their age. If you go back and see, most of them are 21-year-olds, a university student, 18-year-old. So imagine an 18-year-old
having another human being.
and having all these changes
Yes.
happening to them at this critical time where they feel probably there is no support. Either the parents have disowned you, the person who is responsible for the pregnancy might not also be fully equipped
That
to
happens a lot.
support you. And then you see the whole, the cycle begin. But that is an extreme end. But we also have the ones who we feel are capable. You know, the everyday us, the corporate girl, you know,
Yes.
the one who is in this relationship and she gets pregnant and she doesn't have resources at her disposal. Resources meaning that she might have the money, but we know in caring, there is a lot of physical work that goes in there.
Yeah.
There are a lot of night duties.
Yeah, that's true.
There is a lot of responsibilities. I can't go anywhere. You feel like this baby has owned my life.
Okay.
They've taken over my life. And then there is also a lot of anxiety that comes with not knowing how to
be a mother.
Yes, how to be a mother. So Ruth, if you look at it, our mothers, like when they gave birth, those days, even most recently, you would give birth and go to your mother, or your mother would come and support you.
Yeah.
But currently, do we have a mother who will come and support you for a month?
No one.
The mother will come for like 2 weeks.
Yes.
Support you for the 2 weeks, and after you're ready to swim on your own. So that swimming process, those new changes where a person feels they have to make an ends meet, going to work, they have to look after this baby, and then also there are already existing issues, because we don't want to look at it as it's only the babies that are bringing it about.
Yeah.
Because if you find a person who is not already okay with themselves, and then they come and have this responsibility and extended, financial responsibilities, and then you see someone who after giving birth doesn't want to even look at the baby. Not even just immediately after looking birth, like a year into motherhood. And they're like, this is the worst thing that happened to me. Yet naturally it should be the best thing that happened to someone, So, but because of the experiences that they've gone through, then they have to go. So we're talking about the beginning.
Yes.
then we have progression. So then you give birth first time, second time, or first time, then the child is progressing and growing old. Then there are these there are issues, relationship issues, because we have a way of externalizing somehow that when things are not working well between spouses, and then you hate anything that
is related to that spouse.
that is related to
the
that.
child inclusive.
Yes, the child inclusive. So those are some like bad domestic violence. A person who is already being battered and being denied food, being denied freedom. Because when we look at domestic violence, most people tend to look at there's also emotional abuse. Basically,
it's a lot. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. So as we're sharing, I was wondering, when does a mother know that they are in this state? What are some of the manifestations of this stage in a mother? If you can guide us through that, Angela.
I think I'm going to answer this question in terms of what are some of the things that we as professionals look out for to like let someone know that something is wrong, something is off. And one of them is, are you moving away from what is normal?
Okay.
In terms of what is usually expected after a mother has given birth.
Yes.
What is usually expected in terms of how are they bonding with the child? How are they relating with the child? How are they taking care of the child? What is their expression of affection towards the child? So I think if you begin to notice that you don't have that, you look at your child crying and you just want to wrap them up and just take them to another room and just not hear that.
Yes.
Or even just the thought of taking care of the child just doesn't work for you. The idea of pick up the child and just hug the child and just have that physical bonding with the child, it's not something you're interested in. You're moving away from what is usually expected of a mother after they have given birth.
Okay.
But the next one is, how are you functioning? It's that, are you making it work? Because we all know, okay, we all know, but some of us
don't worry,
we know without experience. It's that you would expect that you've given birth, yes, and it's a tough time. There's a lot of, like Janet had said, there are a lot of changes that are happening. There's a stage where your life actually has to go on pause, because the baby is in its earliest stages. So, but then you find that you are failing to actually function again, and you're not making it work. And then there comes something like anxiety, or something like, I don't want to call it OCD, but because I don't have another word at this moment, but you're so anxious about the child, the well-being of the child, the child being okay, that everything else has actually gone on pause. It's, you have help. Say your mother is in the house, they have gotten a nanny to come and help you out, but you still feel like, no,
I must
do it on my own.
No one knows
my child. I have to. So basically, you have put your life, putting your life on pause that is expected and natural. Then there's a putting your life on pause where there's something wrong. And I believe this usually comes especially for mothers who have lost a child before. Either you had a stillbirth or the child died a few months after you had given birth, and it becomes this one, nothing can happen.
My all.
The other, and it's also a sort of self-blame. Did I overwork? Did I over-exercise? Did I not rest enough? Did I give off the responsibilities too soon? You have all these questions, so you're like, no, this time I have to make sure that there's nothing that goes wrong. So you look out for some of those things. It's also something that we refer to as statistical infrequency.
Okay.
According to statistics, what is it supposed to be?
Yes.
Then where are you? Are you out of what the statistics usually is? When you sit down, of course, you will not know what the whole country says.
Yes.
But when you speak to your friends and they're like, oh, me when I had my child, And then you realize it's the same, it's the same, it's the same.
For all
But then
mothers.
you're like, wait,
I'm different.
How come I don't, and it's not an I'm different of, I'm
Good.
different, it's an I'm different of, something is wrong, something is wrong. Those are usually like little telltale signs of maybe you should seek help, maybe you should speak to someone else, maybe you need to get an expert opinion on what is going on at that moment. Yes.
Okay. As she was speaking, I started wondering, could it be that expectations from society, expectations from what motherhood should be, from what a mother should be like, contribute to the mental health the mental health issues that mothers have to face? Because you find a career mother is being judged. Everyone is saying she's not giving time to the child. She's always all about the money. And a stay-home mom will to be judged. Like, if you're not getting out there to work for the child, what happens? What will happen when say if this and this occurs? Who is going to provide for your child? So do you think society and expectations that come with motherhood also contribute to this issue?
I totally agree with you, Ruth.
Okay.
That it is not actually, it's multifactorial. There are very many factors, and one of them is the society expectations,
Yes.
okay, of how you should be as a mother. No, they prescribe for you how you should be. Yes, there are those which are ideal. That, for example, it's good to breastfeed
Yes.
your child up to however long you can. But there are specific circumstances as well, which you should actually judge as a mother.
Yes.
You know, given the information that you have with you, judge and make an informed decision. Because people will tell you, don't use formula. You know, no, you have to breastfeed. It's too young for you to introduce solid foods. It is this. Then you've given birth, you've put on weight. And they say, oh my goodness, society will judge you for putting on weight. But what did they expect? You know? Then there's this whole, so because you fear judgment of you've put on weight, you want to snap back. You know? And so this is a person who has just barely had a child, and there's this excessive need. Of course, pressure put upon them by, you know, social media, and, you know, you see your figures, your role models snapping back in a month or two after cesarean. You know, let us not even go very far. After cesarean, they're snapping back. So you also have put yourself under that pressure, you know, to snap back and get into form and be that. Or our mothers who say, you know, that first wood, I would put her on the back and I go dig. So they want you to also put the child on the back and then you go. But things have changed.
Yes.
So we have to be alive to be aware of the changing circumstances.
Yes.
Yes, I am a working mother. I want to make ends meet. I have to go to work. So if I leave my child at 3 months or 4 months, who are you to judge? You do not know my specific circumstances.
Yes.
But most of us do not have that awareness that you can stand on your truth, that you can stand on your decisions, and then say, I am doing this from an informed point of view.
Yes.
We have pressure. So it is definitely one of them, one of the biggest factors to poor mental health of mothers. Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Just before we close this first half, I want to find out from you. Do you, because from what she has said, you realize that many times mothers are doing things that are not for themselves. As you've been saying, that when you give birth, your life comes to a stall and you now have to look after other people. So do you think that also the fact that they are always running around making sure that this person is okay, this person is well catered for, that they tend to forget themselves, and that is where those issues come in?
Absolutely.
Okay.
You know, when Janet was speaking about society, I thought, you see, was joking earlier and was saying, when the child does wrong, when the child goes astray, who is to blame?
The mother.
The mother. When the child is doing so well, the father. You know, even the Bible talks about
daughter is a very good girl, and they never say Janet's daughter is a good girl.
Exactly. So, but hopefully we can change that narrative and attribute the child to both parents and expect the both parents to actually
share in both the praise and blame
and in the child care.
Yes.
Because we know at least in societies, especially patriarchal societies, that child caring or child, it's for, so if we can have changing narratives, that would be lovely.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the same is, it goes the same way, they are making sure, I have to make sure that my child is okay. I have to make sure that the people under my care succeed.
Yes.
I have to make sure that my home is run well.
Is it the same for the father?
Ruth, what do you think?
But I think I'm going to say it depends. Okay. It depends. Because we're sitting here with Janet. Her husband might have a different perspective.
Definitely. I told you if I told you about my mothering journey, you would say it's not for this show.
Yeah.
Because I have a very, very supportive husband. In childcare, not only, very supportive husband. So
yeah. So if you have
different experience.
If you have a mother who is trying to make sure that everything is fine, from her marriage to her children to the other people under her care, to making sure that her home is run, prestigiously.
Yes.
And it's that outside people have to see that this is all put together.
Now that's where the stress comes from.
Not only stress, you see, you also cut off the support system, the networks, because you have this burden on you. Not burden really, but you're imposing the perfectionism on you, that you have to have the baby on your own, everything. So it piles on you, and then you don't have time to go be there for Ruth. You don't have time to go be there for Angela. So your network goes on becoming smaller. And when it becomes smaller, then you feel closed in. You feel like you have no support. So it also becomes a problem.
Now
that's why the loneliness comes in.
The loneliness
comes in. Okay, as she was sharing, I remembered an interesting story. There is a group of people called the Arpesh, and it is sort of a twisted community from what Ugandans would think, or most of us. In that community, the mother will give birth to a child, but the nurturing role is to the father. So the child will cry, the father will be with the baby maybe. If the baby cries, the father does that. If it's one to breastfeed, the father rushes the baby to the mother. But maybe that cannot happen here. What we might have to do is, as you said, changing the narratives. So I want to understand from you, to what extent does the mental health of a mother affect a child?
Oh, okay. So, directly. Whatever the mother is feeling and the child is feeling. Okay. So, for example, if a mother has poor mental health during pregnancies, there are risks that are associated with that birth. Yes, the high chances of stillbirth, the high chances of excessive bleeding, the high chances of neurodevelopment disorders, the high chances of premature birth. Okay. And then that is even when the person is, the mother is pregnant. So when the mother is pregnant and has issues, either maybe they have perinatal depression, or they have postnatal psychosis, it has a direct linkage. Because remember, this is a person that you're going to care for. So in the event that you go into a depression, immediately after giving a postpartum, depression, after giving birth, there are things that come with depression, that that you lose interest in things that you would otherwise have enjoyed, that your energy levels are low, that your sadness, your moods are erratic, that the whole range of the symptoms that come with that. So imagine that person caring for another person. Okay? So definitely you will see that that person, the child, will have issues coming off the mother. So you go a little ahead, older children. If you even, a mother later on in life, because we said it's dynamic, gets a mental health issue or disorder, then definitely it will carry along that child. I have had an experience before of whereby the mother got a disorder. And in that disorder, of course, she had excessive paranoia. And paranoia was, they're going to kill all of us. Okay. So she would not allow her children to leave her house. Oh dear. So imagine these are adult kids who are confined because the mother is sick. The mother is sick, the feelings of persecution, the feelings of being watched, their feelings of they're hearing voices, they're being commanded to do things, and then it directly affects the what? The child. Examples. We recently had an example of a lady in Mukono who killed her sons. I cannot say for a fact that it was a mental health disorder because I have not diagnosed or whatever, but if you look at the narrative, because if you examine that narrative of a mother getting their child, 3 and 6, 3 boys. I mean, boys, one was 3 years, one was 6. It was all over news, I think a week and a half ago. Did you watch that? And she apparently hit the children on the walls until they died. So what we can see from there is definitely that was direct linkage. Or we can even look at the Luero lady, 21. I told you should look at their ages. You should look at the age bracket. So imagine a 21-year-old who was kids, one who was 2 years old. So that means that lady gave birth at 19 because that the child she was treating badly was 2 years and she was 21 and she had other kids. So when did she get that child? So and then you see how it is affecting that child. So that child will definitely have adverse effects, from early childhood experiences. Whatever she has experienced will reflect, So you go ahead, if you find a substance use disorder parent, a mother who is abusing alcohol, and they're charged with the responsibility of actually taking care of these young ones. There will be a lot of neglect for those children. There will be even passed on, trauma from mothers to children. So that linkage, the link between maternal mental health and the well-being of children.
It's direct. Okay, thank you so much for that explanation. Now we get to go for a break, and when we return, we shall be discussing how this can be solved and how best can we help mothers get into the whole journey of motherhood.
Okay, thank you.
Digital rights are those human rights and legal rights that allow individuals to access, use, create and publish digital media or to access and use computers, other electronic devices and telecommunication networks. Digital rights include a right to freedom of expression, information and communication through technology, a right to privacy and data protection, a right to credit for personal works, a right to universal and equal digital access, a right to identity, a right to anonymity, a right to be forgotten, and a right for protection of minors, among others. The state's digital rights are frequently violated through various unfair actions, for example, blockage of websites and social networks, theft of credentials, unauthorized use of people's data for personal gain, privacy intrusion, online censorship, arrests and intimidation of online users, internet blockages, and the proliferation of laws and regulations that undermine the potential of technology to drive social, economic, and political development worldwide. It is hence every citizen's responsibility to respect rights of other digital users and to speak out or report to the responsible parties when one's rights are violated.
Welcome back from that very short break. The conversation continues. Remember to like us and to follow these very beautiful conversations on our YouTube channel, Instagram, and on Twitter, all of which it is Civic Space TV. Subscribe to our channel and be ready to catch all these shows and with all other beautiful programmings that we have here at Civic Space TV. The conversation continues, and I have very amazing women in studio with me today. They are all from Safe Spaces, Uganda. This is Janet, and that is Angela. So we are furthering the conversation on mental health of mothers, what motherhood is, and the mental health issues that come along with motherhood. In the first half, we had them paint for us a picture of what that really looks like, what are the causes, and the impacts this has, especially to the children or to the child of this mother. Now we are going to further this conversation, and I have a very specific place of interest on what can be done. Is there any help that you can give for mothers? Or this is something we should look at as a normal thing, that once you have chosen motherhood, you've actually chosen this path of mental health.
No.
So I'll begin with you, Angela. What do you think needs to be done? Are there ways that mothers can be helped to thrive through the motherhood season? How can we make it a more enjoyable season for mothers?
I think the first thing that I would say is support.
Okay.
Seek support, accept support. Especially if you find that you want to do it all on your own. You want to be a super mom. It's okay.
Yes.
It's okay for you to get help. It's okay. And sometimes there are these conversations that happen of, when we are judging celebrities for having nannies
Yes.
looking after their children. But it's okay. It's okay for you to get extra help.
Yes.
As long as you are doing your part to be as present as you can be in the growing of your child, in the raising of your child,
Yes.
but you do not have to do it all on your own. So accept support.
Okay.
And then seek it, go out and look for someone to help you. Just make sure that the people helping you are not people who are going to make the situation worse in terms of maybe abusing the child and all those things. But support, and then being intentional about taking care of yourself.
Okay.
And I use the word intentional because it's very easy for you to get lost in motherhood. It's very easy for you to get lost in parenting. So you actually have to be able to say, you know what, me on Saturdays in the morning, I go somewhere and I just take a break. So being intentional about self-care, and self-care will look different to different people. Yes.
Okay.
Someone's self-care is the spa. Another person's self-care is watching a movie. And so knowing what is self-care to you, what does self-care look like to you, and then being intentional about pursuing that self-care throughout your journey of motherhood. I think the other thing that I can say is just, it's okay, and let's let go of the need to have to have everything go perfectly and everything be fine. Because sometimes the truth is it goes out of your control.
Okay.
Your children are eventually going to get to a point where they have the ability to make their own decisions.
Yes.
They are going to take a different path. You have the mothers, especially in churches, where I brought my children to church. They've been Sunday school, all these things, and now I don't understand. You do the best that you can do.
Yes.
You give them all the information that they need. You empower them as much as possible with everything. Is it a good education? Is it information concerning different things?
Yeah.
What are drugs likely to do to you? What is early pregnancy likely to do to you? You make sure they have all this information, and then the ball goes into their courts.
Okay, thank you so much, Angela. Angela speaks about the fact that the help is there. We just have to let ourselves free to actually get this help. Many times when we get to issues of mental health, once I attended a poetry show that was entitled Ebebi Abazungu, because many times people think mental health is a bougie talk. It's a rich. If you're talking about mothers, probably someone is only imagining that mother who is a career woman, a rich woman. How does this look like for all different kinds of mothers, and is that help available for all categories of mothers, or is there any other thing that even a mother who may not be able to watch this show could be advised to do?
Okay. So it's not a Biabazungu. No, it's Biabazungu. These things are for everyone, Actually, mental wellness is desired for everyone.
Okay.
It depends on just what you prescribe as your self-care.
Yes.
Okay. So, for example, when you're talking about that women who are not career-driven, who do not have the money, even people in rural settings actually have their downtime.
Yes.
It depends on which shoe fits you for your self-care. If it is going with a friend to the well, that is time you're going to decongest. I mean, you're going to talk to someone, and you're going to be off the clock and be for yourself. If it is going for bibina, chibina chabachara, that is time you're going to take off. If that is human contact, is what social connections. You can't go wrong. There is a way it adds onto you.
I was actually if I may cut you short, I was actually reading a report, and they were saying that 50%, it was a report by a hospital, and they were showing that if 50% of the patients in there had close friends, they would maybe not suffer the diseases they were suffering. So I think I get you when
social connection. I'm
Yes.
telling you, it can be even things like church.
Okay.
You know, so we're not looking at self-care as go to the
Spa.
spa. No. And actually, if you look closely to, you know, history and all that, in most of our traditional cultures, we had self-care. We just
Yes.
didn't know it was
It's
termed
self-care.
self-care.
Yes.
Women would go singing together to
Yes.
the well.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
or mothers would have
Time
their
to
time.
play.
Yes, time to play. Kwepena, They would have their own different definition of
Yes.
their downtime.
Yes.
You know, they would have when they go to the garden. Excuse me. They go to the garden and then after gardening and whatever, she's holding maybe a thing of cassava on her head, and she stops somewhere and talks to the neighbor for like another 30 minutes. So it is there. It depends.
Yes.
It depends on how we inform them that they need that time. Okay, they need that time. And also I'll re-emphasize that these things are not, it's not only if you look at what is happening in the rural communities, the rates of depression, that is when we will confirm that mental health is everyone's issue. So that even people in rural settings actually suffer a lot of mental disorders.
Yes.
They might not be diagnosed, they might not know what to call it, but they manifest. Okay? So if you see that lady who was disciplining her 2-year-old,
Yes.
she was justifying it that, you know, because when but no, that is not it. When the neighbors tried to stop her, that she said that she won't let the child get spoiled on her watch, like she's disciplining.
Yes.
So they term it as disciplining, but would any other observer think that was disciplining? No. So it might not be diagnosed, it might not be named, but it manifests in the way the relationship between the mothers and the nurturing that the children get.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. As you were speaking, I remembered something when you talked of that point where from the well you go and talk to someone for over 30 minutes.
Yes.
There is a lot of power in storytelling. How can we create such spaces? Because I then think we need to reignite some of these things. So some of these things that make us African women, some of these things that make us African mothers. And as part of our being Africans, I think storytelling is one of the strongest components we've always had. How can we integrate some of these things, self-care for both the urban and the rural woman, into our day-to-day life, because it is needed? Angela.
I think one, I'll start with what the challenge to that is.
Okay.
You see, we are slowly moving into a different type of society.
Yeah.
Where everyone wants to show that it was seamless. Everyone wants to make it seem like it was perfect. Nothing went wrong. You know, it was a smooth ride.
Yes.
So what's happening is you're looking at social media, and like Janet said, you're seeing this mother and
Making you feel like you're less of a mom.
like you are there, you've given birth, you're 6 months in, you have not lost any weight, in fact you're gaining.
Yeah.
And then you open your Instagram and you're seeing, wait, this lady just gave birth, and she's posting about how she has lost 10 kilograms. And you're thinking, okay, what am I not doing right? What am I not doing right?
Yeah.
So I think it starts with, let me say the mother who is watching this. You know, it starts with you being able to be comfortable and to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
You see, when you have a friend, it's until you share something that you're struggling with that the other person will get comfortable sharing what they're struggling with. But if you put on a front of perfection, even them, they're going to be like, it can't be me who is struggling. You know, it can't be me. So then you find that these conversations are no longer happening. People meet in maybe a women's group, and the idea of the group is to provide support to one another. But this one is talking about how their child is going off to Canada. This one, you know, then the lady in the village is talking about how their child is going off to Kampala. They have gotten a scholarship at Makerere. And this other lady whose child is struggling with an addiction is just...
Yeah.
he's also fine, you know. So people didn't start you're putting on a front. People are not really sharing what exactly their burdens are anymore.
Yeah.
It's that we have destroyed that connection with simple things like gossiping. You know, you come to this group and you think, I'm going to pour out my heart to these people and just let them know what's going on. And the next thing you know,
the space is no longer safe.
it's no longer safe. The next thing you know is you're walking and then someone is like, I heard. And the person was not in the group. And so you're thinking, okay.
How many more? No.
How many more? You see, because some of these situations are actually they're actually intimate. They're actually close to this person's heart, you know? So we have to go back to that place where we are honest and we are vulnerable with each other and we are able to say, you know what? I'm going to hold Ruth's hand. I'm going to hold Janet's hand, and we're going to work together. I'm actually going to be there for her.
Okay.
And again, it goes back to intentionality.
Yeah.
If we want to change and if we want to create a space that is actually welcoming of some of these versions of self-care that are actually not very expensive, because you know, some of these other ones, the spa is not cheap. But calling Ruth and speaking is actually a lot more affordable. So for us to be able to go back to those, we have to make intentional steps to kind of reconstruct that space that we have created. We have to change the dynamics. We have to be open to vulnerability.
Oh, yeah.
We have to take, you know, vulnerability is a risk, by the way. It's a risk because I'm opening up to this person and I'm not sure how they're going to react. I'm not sure how they're going to receive it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what they're going to do with the information that I'm giving them.
Yes.
But I'm going to do it anyway because you never know. You know?
Yeah.
I'll
Something
share
good
mine.
might come
Yeah,
out. That's
I'll
true.
share mine. And then this person will say, you know what? I'm struggling with the same thing. And just like that, you have created a community of two. And eventually it goes. You know, eventually you create that space again. Yeah.
Okay. The executive director. Safe Spaces Uganda. What can be done? What can be done? How would you advise mothers?
First of all, mothers should mother better. I mean, if we have suffered, you know, if you've gone through it, then be intentional about that girl child. Empower her to know that early pregnancy will lead to this, to this, and to the other. Okay? At least for you, I'm coming from the tail end that if you have gone through it and you have been successful, then it's okay to tell that child of yours what to expect. Inform them. Empower them with the resources for motherhood.
What are some of those resources?
So resources for motherhood, actually, income generating activities. Because we've got to know now that you cannot just be, you can choose to be, yes, a mother, but you can also have to be a mother and something else, you know, so which is okay. So if it's education, educate them to that. Open the conversations you're having with that you know, girl child and even that boy child, so that they can take up their role in nurturing or in childcare. Okay? So education, employment, then individual self-care, you know, making the person aware that they are an individual and they have to thrive before they become anything else. You have to thrive, Ruth, before you become an employee. You have to thrive before you become, you know, you can only be as good as a sister or a wife as long as you're good yourself. Okay? So for that mother that is in there already, remember it's okay. You know, even the challenges will come, but seek the help. There are groupings that have come up. There are groupings that are supporting some people. So, for example, I know the perinatal grief group by Denise. It's called Veso is Me. That is for mothers that have lost or have, you know, had those extreme challenges during the perinatal period. And there are also other groupings, support groups for the different mothers that are on this motherhood journey. Okay, but also on the bigger picture, we should look at ways of fighting gender-based violence, you know, because ultimately, you know, those sexual violence against minorities, the 19-year-old, the defilements, 18-year-olds, then empowering these people with knowledge on sexual reproductive health.
Okay.
No, if a person knows that when I have sex, there are chances I might get pregnant. So a person is empowered. Yeah, we're not saying that when we give them sexual reproductive health information, that they're going to go out and look for the sex. That actually, without even us giving them the information, they are already because of the exposure that is with the new age information sharing platforms and all that the people already know information. It's half-baked information. Let's give them the correct information. Then if you are pregnant, go for antenatal classes. Okay? Go for antenatal classes and get to know, read, empower yourself. So that you're not that new mother who doesn't have any idea
about what to do.
About motherhood. Then when you're in there, there is no shame in asking. When you've given birth and you say, that the child cries every night, I don't know what to do, please ask. Ask someone. Call upon your support. Call upon your support because it's one of the biggest issues. Okay? And then I think that is about it, of what can we do for mothers. Mothers, it's important to remember that you are a woman before you become a mother. That you will not stop looking good just because you've given birth. That actually nurturing should enhance you. I mean, giving birth and becoming a mother only enhances that which was already in there. So you be full of yourself before you get into the motherhood. Prepare for it.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. There is no shame in asking.
Yes.
Mothers, if you are there at all stages, ask someone. There is no shame in asking, okay? So let's feel free with one another and find someone you can always run to for help. So I've been thinking, as she was saying, society is changing. Society it's getting different here. And you find that most of our time is now getting into the virtual space, social media, and things like that. Do you think there is something mothers can do about, say, the body shaming that happens on social media for mothers? That for me, when I gave birth, my tummy dropped to the floor. When someone else gave birth, they went back perfectly into shape. Or you know, as a mother, you are doing your very best to be the best mother to your child, and someone on Instagram is making you feel like actually you're not mothering. You're not doing anything.
Yeah.
So what can be the relationship between mothers' mental health and social media, or even society as a general? Because sometimes it's not from Instagram, but it's from your friend who's like,
what happened?
What happened? So how can mothers relate with society against their mental health?
I think I'm going to give an example. There's a lady on Instagram who, from the point that she gave birth to her child, she has been using formula for her child. She decided that she's not going to breastfeed her child. And so many times there's a lot of backlash.
Yes.
But she has stood her ground. And she has said, listen, I have a healthy child. Yes, I have not breastfed. I have used formula, but my child is healthy. I would not, as a mother, do anything to harm my child. In my, obviously there's the side of a mother who is not doing well mentally, but as I would not, And so I think it goes back to you yourself. What are your markers for a healthy child? What are your markers for a healthy self? In terms of, are you able to tell, okay, this weight, something is not right now. This weight is going overboard. Or, okay, if I do this for my child and I do it like this, it's okay. The child will still be healthy. It might be different from what society does, but the child is healthy. So at the end of the day, it goes back to you. And it goes back to you being firm and being knowledgeable of what you're doing. Because if I come and tell you, give your child formula, it's good. You will go and give your child formula, and then someone will come and tell you, but giving your child formula is not good because ABC. And then because you did not actually seek out this information, you did not go out and educate yourself, you're confused. So now you're easily shaken. But if you go out, empower yourself on a decision that you want to make, and you know I am going to do this. I have researched. Yes, this can happen. But if I do it like this and like this will not happen.
Yes.
So that means even if someone comes and tells you what you're doing is not right, it's supposed to be done like this, our parents did it like this, you know, you're able to stand and say, listen, it's okay. That person has done it like that and it works for them. But me, I'm going to do it like this. And I have actually read, I have educated myself. So you're firm on the decision that you're making. And it's important to know that people are always going to have an opinion contrary to yours.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So someone can come and tell you breastfeeding is not right. But you have to be able to say, but madam, you know, you have to be able to stand firm on the decision that you're making. And that all starts with educating yourself about the decision that you're going to make. When it comes to body shaming and things like that, you see, first and foremostly, it's, do you love yourself? Do you have an acceptance of yourself? Are you happy with yourself?
Yes.
Because you see, the fact is, you're going to get pregnant, you're going to gain weight. But are you okay? When you look in the mirror, are you able to say, okay, I have gained weight, I'm not happy with it, but it's understandable. You know, I didn't just sit on a couch and gain weight.
Yes.
I've gone through a process. I've gone through a life-changing process. So I'm aware that this weight has come because of ABC. I'm not happy with it, but I understand.
Yes.
And when the time comes and I am able to, I will work on it. You know, you have to be able to extend grace to yourself for something. Even as much as you do not like it, you're able to say, I don't like it, but it's okay. You know, there's something of, you have to be able to love yourself where you are in order to love yourself where you're going.
Yes.
Because if today you're maybe 100 kilos and you're like, oh my God, I hate it so much, people are saying I'm so big, you're going to lose weight and become 70 and you'll meet someone who will still tell you that you're still big. So what is going to happen at that point? So you have to be able to determine for yourself, I'm 100 now, I've just given birth. Okay, right now, losing weight is not the biggest priority. Am I comfortable where I am? Yes, I can make it work. Maybe in 6 months, when my child is a bit more independent and, you know, and things like that, I can get into, maybe go to the gym or a fitness plan or whatever, when I've gotten the hang of this thing. Because you do not want to be in a position where you're taking on too much too soon. You've just given birth.
You're on diet.
You're on diet. You're at the gym. You're doing so many things. You're barely sleeping. You're taking on so much. So it's until you get, what's it called? A rhythm. You know, you're now, things are a bit flowing. Then you're like, okay, so now I think I can add the diet. Now I think I can add the gym. And you do it at your pace and you tell yourself, at what weight will I be most comfortable? You determine for yourself. You do not let social media and people determine for you. Because someone might be like, but you looked better at your previous weight. You're not going to go back to that. Okay, you might, but you're not. So you're like, okay, I'm 100 now. If I reach 70, I'll be fine. I'll be happy with 70. And you set it realistically. Or if I'm 70 in like a year and a half, it'll be good. You know, if I'm 70 in 6 months, I'll be good. You do it for yourself. It has to go back to being about you, about what makes you happy, what works for you. Otherwise, you're going to get lost in the so many opinions of the world and of social media.
Okay. Thank you so much. You bring in very interesting conversation. And I want to get from you, maybe there is a mother who has just joined us right now, and they would love to know, in case they feel a certain way, from what we shared in the first half, when should a mother visit a specialist? When should a mother meet a counselor? When should a mother embark on a fitness plan? At what stage should a mother be doing this?
Okay. Thank you, Ruth. I'm just going to add 2 things before we forget. There's also responsible use of social media. Let us be responsible when we're using the social media. We all know that things that we find here are not always true.
Yes.
That you put your best foot forward on the socials, isn't it? You find the angle. You
know which angle should be.
Yes. You want to give the best representation out there. So if you want to give the best representation out there, what makes you like even everyone else is giving that, you know, and then you're consuming that. You're consuming that. So you can decide to limit what you're consuming. Okay? That one, before we forget anything else, that you choose to go to these sources of information that are not healthy or helpful to you. You can choose not to consume. Okay? And then also the other thing is, ultimately, the mother should be kind to herself. Because if you're kind to yourself, then you will not be so harsh while you're judging yourself. If you're kind to yourself, then you will not be so critical of your shortfalls. If you're being kind to yourself, you actually take care of yourself. You know, you cannot say you're kind to yourself when you're not sleeping. You're not going to be kind to yourself when you're abusing yourself. Look at this chibody. You know? I will look at my 100 kilograms and I say, this is my 100 kilograms and I love it. You know. So, but if you're not kind to yourself to that level, then there'll be a lot of negativity. So be kind, be positive. Okay, that is it. So when should a mother know to seek help? So we all know that once it's a first time child, we always have that period of unknown. Even most of us, even second time, third birth, we have the baby blues. I think you've heard of that.
Maybe explain for someone else.
So baby blues are those moods and changes when your hormones are not yet back to how they normally are pre-baby. You know, there is sadness, you don't understand the things, the moods are up and about. There is fatigue. Of course, it comes with having a whole amazing human being that you're taking care of. Then there are things of, how do I do this? You're adjusting to this new life that has joined you, that you're taking responsibility for. So there will be some moments of discomfort to the mother. But that should go to up to 2 weeks, you know. 2 weeks, yes, we cannot say strictly 2 weeks. It can even go into 3 weeks, you know, but at least not more than a month of the same feelings. But if things are persistent beyond that, if ever since you gave birth, you dislike food or you eat a lot. You know, there is also eating a lot, which is because of, you know, your feeding and things like that. But there is that which you will deem not okay. Okay, there are sleepless nights not attributed to the baby. Okay, because there are those which are attributed to the baby, but there are those which are not attributed to the baby. There are extreme moods like mood states. You are either, you know, too sad or whatever. There are symptoms that you have to look at. That there is a disinterest in self and even the, you know, the people around you. For some reason, for that period of time, you're not adjusting well. And I have said 2 to 3 weeks, really. Then thereafter, you should know that there's something wrong. I've seen people go up to a year, and then a person says that, you know, I always feel that something is going to happen to my child, so I can't leave them. I've never left them alone. Not even just leaving them alone, but I have never, you know, like for some reason I am watching them, you know. I have this fear, excessive fear that
something could
that
happen.
they will die when they are sleeping. So I have to, you know, so those, when there are extremes of that, you know, there are extremes of that. Or there's hate, because we know much as their motherhood is challenging, it's also amazing. And it comes with amazing benefits, you know, when you get this whole being. I've told you 6.
Truly,
it is amazing. It comes with its perks, you know. So that's what I'm saying, that if you are not realizing those at any one point in life, please speak to someone, seek help. Okay, there are actually people, there are professional people trained in mental health. Okay, so seek help. If you actually don't know if it's even a mental health thing, share. Someone probably in your circle will know that what you're going through is not the norm. Because, you know, there's also a tendency for people to dismiss. Like, you're sad, that is how it is. But you truly know yourself. So if you know yourself and you know something is off, please seek professional help. It is available. Yes.
Thank you so much, Janet and Angela. We have finally come to the close of this conversation. Interesting as it is, we still have to close, but the conversation continues on our social media platforms. But before we close, what is that one last thing in half a minute? What's that last thing you have for a mother out there?
It's okay.
Okay.
It's okay to seek help. It's okay to not be okay. It's okay to start over. You know, sometimes you're so caught up in wanting to just have this thing make sense and work and all those things. So my final thing is just it's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay.
Thank you, Angela. Yes, Janet. And Janet, as you're closing, you work with safe spaces. Where can people find you, and how can they access you? Where can they find this help?
Okay, so the place is Safe Places, Safe Places Uganda. We're in Chambogo, 1212 Lancaster Avenue. We have both outpatient and inpatient services for mental health. All mental health conditions, including addictions and substance use rehabilitation. Okay, and the last one,
Your last one.
Motherhood is amazing.
Wow.
Don't be scared. Don't be scared, and still kindness and positivity. Thank you so much for hosting us.
Okay, thank you so much, viewers. Thank you so much, my amazing panelists, for today's show. We've had a very beautiful conversation. To mothers out there, it's okay. Motherhood is amazing. It's a beautiful journey. It's okay to ask for help. But most importantly, do not disconnect from people. As they were explaining to us, our power as women is in social interaction. So reach out to someone. Feel free to ask for help. Enjoy your motherhood journey. From us here and the team, we wish you the very best of the week. See you next Tuesday.